Hey everybody, this is Robert with you, continuing my Marvel Heroic Roleplaying solo test game. And I was just retyping my information into the GM emulator here. And this random event popped up as soon as I typed in Spider-Man, Jim, Spider-Man on patrol, store robbery, and got ready to move things forward. This popped up at random, but it fits perfectly with what I was hoping to do. It says the scene is altered and something is expectedly negative. This is perfect. Alright, new scene description. Alright, I've typed in the necessary information. I know what's coming, but I want to kind of leave it a surprise for you. We've got the 2d6 here. This is our standing doom pool. And then I just went ahead and put the plot points for Spider-Man in this same little cup roller cover. And that's where the doom pool stands for now. I'm going to be making a roll immediately. And I've already assembled the necessary dice from the data file of the bad guy. So I'm working off about 5 dice right now. And I may want to think about a couple of scene distinctions. In fact, I may go ahead and add one of those in. Let's see. That would just be another D8. I don't know. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Just like a player can, if I choose as the GM to use a scene distinction against myself and make myself roll a lower number die, the D4, I don't get a plot point. But what I do get, and I'm going to review this rule to make sure this is correct, I should get another die for the doom pool. Let me quickly double check that. There it is. As the watcher, you can also choose to add a D4, or and if you use the lower die, you get to add a die or step up a doom die. So we're going to add a die there and make it 3d6. Alright, so we've got our die pool. Let's roll it for the mystery bad guy. We got a 1, let's set it aside. And let's take the 2 best out of this roll here. A 6, I think, and a 4, and a 5. We got a 5. Let's take those 2, and then for our effect die, we've got a D8. And we'll put the D4 and the D6 down here. So that's what it looks like. It looks like an 11 with a D8 on the effect. So I could spend a D6 from the doom pool, just like players spend a plot point. And maybe I'll add another 4 to the result. So what's that going to take me to now? 15, alright? 15 D8 on the effect die. I think that's pretty good. I think I'll let that stand. 15 D8 effect die on Spider-Man. Alright, well, if you will imagine with me that Spider-Man was there after having just webbed up Jim, had just come down beside him and started to talk to him as the police were on their way, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man is hit from behind. This iron hard arm is just locked around his throat and lifts him up off of the ground, and he finds himself being choked and held against his will, and he is now flying up into the air somehow, and he doesn't know what is going on. So we're going to make a reaction roll for him. Here's a hint for the bad guy. oddly, Spider-Man didn't sense him coming. Now we remember that the Watcher actually rolled a 1 there, which is a potential opportunity for the player to spend a plot point and do something in response. So we're going to have the player, Spider-Man, spend 1 of his 2 plot points. He's going to spend that, and he's going to be prepared to use a die, either as a push die or as a stunt die, but he gets to step it up 1 level. So instead of a D6 regular die, he can make it a D8. And then if he says he's going to do something particularly interesting and cool as some kind of stunt related to his character and his powers, and is descriptive about it, then instead of getting an 8, it can be a 10. So we're going to let him do that. He's going to activate that 1 that the Watcher rolled. Alright, we're going to quickly run down Spider-Man's data file here. He's going to make his reaction roll. He's been attacked. Remember, that was a 15 on the total and a D8 for the effect die. Spider-Man is still alone, so that's a D8 there. Distinction. We can use 1 for us or against us. Maybe we'll go with a D4 and we'll get back another plot point. We'll say that we're using with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man was in the middle of trying to not only restrain but counsel this Jim guy that's back on the streets in trouble, and he was distracted and unable to catch sight of this bad guy that attacked him from behind. Spider powers. What could he use here to protect himself? Probably, since he's been grappled, why don't we say we're trying to use his superhuman strength to wrestle free. Is there any web slinging ability or power that he could use right now? Let me think about that one. This is power set number 2. If something makes good sense for the narrative, I can take the die. But otherwise, I don't know. Webbing, no. I would say that he's surprised. He's not going to use a swing line. No, he's just trying to wrestle his way out of it. So we're going to go with combat expert down here in his specialties. This is right down here. He'll try to twist out of the hold, so we're going to give him another D8 there. And then the opponent doesn't have any stress. There are no complications. But here, down here on this little list, we do have the push, stunt, or resource. And remember, we could step that up. So if I can't think of anything creative, we'll go for a D6 that will, due to activating that Watcher's opportunity, be boosted up to a D8. But let's see if I can do better than that. Some sort of stunt. I would say Spider-Man, using his superhuman strength and experience in combat, will try to quickly escape the chokehold in a way that will put pressure on the joints of the arm that's locked around his neck. So he's basically trying to do a reverse of some kind. Even though he's in midair, he doesn't really know what's going on. So let's allow him the D10. So there we go. That's going to be his pool of dice that he's going to roll. Alright, the pool is assembled. We got to beat a 15 if we can. No 1s are rolled, which is nice. We've got an 8. We'll keep that 8, and we've got a 7. That does give us our 15. And we've got a couple of 10s. We might be able to beat this. But if it's tied, this is a good chance to talk about what happens in a tie. A 15 versus a 15. Attack versus reaction roll. What happens? Well, there you see it. If the reaction total, which is Spider-Man's total, is equal to or lower than your action total, which is this bad guy, then the bad guy's action will succeed. So a tie goes to the aggressor, not the defender. So let's see, what is Spider-Man going to do? Well, until Spider-Man knows exactly what he's dealing with, I think we're going to let this action stand. So we're not going to spend a plot point at this moment. It might be a good idea to do so, but let's just say he doesn't, and he's got his 15. For an effect die, let's keep a 10. Now here we see something interesting. The effect die for the villain was an 8. So Spider-Man didn't beat the total, but he has a higher effect die. So what happens there? Well, that's also right here in the book. If the reaction effect die is larger than yours, which is the bad guys in this situation, you have to step back your effect die by 1. So instead of doing a D8 level of stress to Spider-Man, that's going to be knocked down 1 step to a D6. So Spider-Man in this situation, from this attack, is going to suffer a D6 level stress, physical stress. So if we go to the data file here, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and we look on the side, we see these tracks here. Remember, this is the stress and trauma. Physical, he's right there. If that gets knocked up over a D12, he is stressed out and basically in bad trouble. So he's at a D6. So some of you may have guessed it. It's Venom. The bad guy Venom. So Spider-Man was down there talking to Jim, and Venom swoops in. And it says here, interestingly enough, on the character sheet that Spider-Man's spider sense doesn't help him against Venom. So we're just going to say that Spider-Man didn't sense him coming at all. He was about to say a few words to Jim, and then all of a sudden Venom just swings in, grabs Spider-Man right around the neck and just lifts him up off the ground, continues his momentum and swings up high into the air and hurls Spider-Man down on top of the roof of a nearby building. And Spider-Man, due to his what was it, superhuman strength, is able to loosen the grip somewhat and prepare himself for the fall, and manages to slightly reduce the damage that he takes. But he rolls across on top of the building, looks up, and landing just a few feet from him is Venom, ready to do battle. Alright everybody, thanks for joining me for this one. We'll continue the action in the next video.